So we want to spend some time talking about that tonight. Joining me now here in the studio is Michael Fauntroy. He is the founding director of the Race, Politics, and Policy Center at George Mason University. Michael, thank you for being here to share your wide perspective with us. So many people may be surprised about this announcement, but you were not.
No, in fact, it's been in the wind for quite some time. Various parts of the DC political community have long been whispering about this. She's been the mayor for 10 years. At the conclusion of this term, it'll be 12. That's a long time. And it sort of stands to reason that this would be a good opportunity for her to step out. So it's not a surprise. In fact, it's probably one of the worst kept secrets in the city.
Interesting. So the mayor said today she had accomplished all she had set out to accomplish. What do you read into that in terms of her decision to say, now's a good time to pass the baton? Well,
she's accomplished a lot. If you look at what's happened in the city, she's been a very steadying presence. She's had her hand on the wheel in a way that's helped navigate the city through a lot of controversy. And so in that regard, I think she's like, okay, time is now to move. But she can also point to a number of other developments in terms of economic development, attendance, enrollment in DC public schools is up. Things seem to be moving in a good direction. And this is the really big sort of elephant in the room on this, navigating the Trump administration. That helps bring a level of anxiety to this job that most mayors around the city don't have to deal with.
They don't understand what it means to be in power, but not necessarily empowered. It's an impossible job in some ways, isn't it?
Yes, and imagine for a second trying to defend somebody with one hand tied behind your back. That's what the mayor of the District of Columbia, regardless of who that individual is, has to do in terms of trying to defend the city's home rule prerogatives and provide the services that are necessary. Being a mayor of any major city, particularly the district, is in many ways a thankless one. Because no matter what you do, there are going to be segments of the population that take issue with it. And so, after 12 years, I can imagine she said, it's time to move on and do something else.
We saw up close and personal how home rule was pressure tested over the past few months, right? And we saw the president's crime emergency, we saw the federal surge that you're talking about. The mayor seemed to be navigating that very delicately, but there are some who criticized her for being too deferential.
Right. It's a difficult balance to strike, right? Because those who understand the fundamental roots of politics understand that you can't really do anything if you don't have the votes, in this case, the votes in Congress, or the backing, in this case, the backing of the president. And if the president is going against you and you already have one hand tied behind your back, there are limitations on what you can do. And I think reasonable people understand that. We all want, what you see in some other mayors and governors around the country. But the truth is that those cards aren't in the deck.
This is a different deck
that the mayor has to play with, and so you do the best that you can with what you have, and I think all things considered, she has.
What will be the hallmark, you think, of the Bowser area, and what happens next when you've been an ANC commissioner, a council member, and a 3-term mayor?
So let me deal with that part first.
Okay.
She's been very interesting in this regard. By the time she steps out, she will have served in elected office in this city for about 20 years. And that provides her with a wealth of opportunities she can take to other things that she wants to do with the rest of her life. And she still has opportunities should she decide she wants to get back in at some point. So I don't think, this isn't the end of an era in some respects. It may be a pause, right, and a pivot. But I don't know necessarily that it's an end. In terms of where we go next with this, 2026 is going to be one of the busiest electoral years in the city's history.
Because in January, we find out that the candidates are going to have to file
to
make a declarative statement that this is the role they want.
Now they've been preparing contingencies if she runs, if she doesn't.
Sure.
Right? So there's nobody who's going to be surprised and whose sort of calculus is going to change behind this. But you look at a mayor's race that's going to have 2 or 3 council members, a at least contested congressional race, perhaps even an open seat. this is going to be in 2026 what the city was in 1990.
Yeah, because we haven't had a contested sort of election in this way in a very long time.
Since 1990.
Do you sense, and I know I'm supposed to wrap up, sorry, James, I just have to ask this one last question here. Do you get the sense, because the mayor has now said, I'm ready to pass the baton, that this race will now, the floodgates will open in some ways, that there will be some amalgamation of the folks who expressed interest both on the congressional level and now what's going to happen here on the local level?
So there's going to be flooding going in both directions. I'm not going to be surprised if somebody who's already announced for Congress decides, actually, I want to run for mayor. All right, and there are going to be people on the council who are thinking, well, you know what, there's an opportunity here for me too. And then finally, there's going to be some random person who we don't know about. There may be a nonprofit leader or somebody else, corporate person, who decides, you know what, if I'm going to do it, this is the time.
You've been studying public service for a very long time. This is no doubt a very difficult environment to be in, regardless of what your party affiliation is. What does this tell us about the state of service and the state of the kinds of people who want to serve their community and their country?
Washington, D.C. is very lucky in that it has tons of talented people. There are parts of the country that don't have anywhere near the level of talent that you see here. So in that regard, I am not terribly worried. I think that people who have a commitment to public service will pursue that regardless of where it may be. What I do worry about, though, is there may be some people who, for reasons beyond public service, decide they want to get in. And I don't know yet how that's going to play out. But again, to my earlier point, you're going to see some people jumping in the races who are doing it for what I would charitably say are not the right reasons.
Well, there will be plenty of time to unpack
Absolutely.
the mayor's legacy for sure. This is just one layer here. Michael Fauntroy, the founding director of Race, Politics, and Policy Center at George Mason University. Always great to talk to you. It's been, what, since before the pandemic, since you've been in this studio?
Yes, I've been here a million times.
So you got to come back.
I'm looking forward to it.
Don't stay away so long. All right, thank you so much.